It's late. You're alone with your phone, and the number on the screen is smaller than it should be. Again, you've been here before. The budget, the app, the January promise. And here you are, watching another video about money. Here's what this video is not going to tell you. It will not tell you to drink less coffee. It will not tell you to want it more. What it will tell you is that the reason saving feels impossible has been documented, studied, and published in peer-reviewed journals. And it has nothing to do with your willpower. The median American between 55 and 64 has 87,000 saved after 30 years of work. Experts say you need 1.2 million. We have more personal finance content available today than at any moment in human history. The advice has never been easier to find, and the numbers keep getting worse. So either tens of millions of intelligent, motivated adults are uniquely, personally, catastrophically lazy, or something else is going on. What if saving money is hard, not because of who you are, but because of how you were built and what was built around you? That's not a self-help reframe. That's what the research actually shows. Let me give you a choice. I can give you 100 today or 120 in 1 month. Most people take the 100. Now, I'll give you 112 months or 120 in 13 months. Suddenly, waiting an extra month feels completely worth it. Same math, same $20 difference, but a completely different emotional answer. That inconsistency has a name. Researchers call it hyperbolic discounting. And it doesn't mean you're irrational. It means your brain runs ancient software in a world it was never designed for. Your brain evolved to solve the problem directly in front of it, right now, not next year, not at 65. The threat that was present, the reward that was immediate. For most of human history, that was the correct priority. The woolly mammoth did not wait, but retirement accounts do. And your brain, magnificent, ancient, beautifully optimized for survival, has almost no natural instinct for them. Here's where it gets more specific. Kahneman and Tversky, two of the most cited researchers in the history of psychology, discovered something precise about how your brain weighs money. The pain of losing $20 is roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining $20. Twice. Which means every dollar you move into savings registers as a small, real loss. You are not imagining that it hurts. You are measuring it accurately. Your brain is doing exactly what brains do. And there's one more thing. Brain imaging research suggests something stranger still. When you picture your future self, the person who will actually need these savings, your brain may process that image the way it processes a stranger, not you, someone else entirely, which means saving for your future self may feel neurologically like giving your money away to someone you've never met. Your brain is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. The problem is, someone else has been doing their homework too, and they've had a lot longer to study you than you've had to study them. Imagine two workers, same company, same salary, same year of hire, same health plan, same commute, same break room coffee. One small difference, and neither of them chose it. Worker A was automatically enrolled in the company retirement plan. Worker B had to opt in. That's it. That's the only difference. 30 years later, their financial futures look nothing alike. Not because of any decision they made. Because of a default someone said in an HR database. In 2001, researchers Bridget Madrian and Dennis Shea published what became one of the most important papers in behavioral economics. They studied what happened when companies switched to automatic enrollment. Participation rates jumped from 37% to 86%. Let that land. 37 to EIGHT, no new salary, no better match, no financial education seminar, no motivational poster in the break room, just a different default. A few years later, Nobel Prize Winning economist Richard Thaler designed a program called Save More Tomorrow. The idea was almost embarrassingly simple. Workers agreed, in advance, to direct a portion of their future raises into savings. Not today's money. Tomorrow's money. Money they hadn't yet received. Money their lifestyle hadn't yet claimed. Average savings rates tripled. In under 3 years, participants barely noticed. That was 2004. 2 decades ago, we had a tested, peer-reviewed, Nobel Prize-winning solution to the savings problem. And yet, here we are, more 87,000 median retirement savings, millions of people watching videos about why they can't save, thousands of personal finance books published every year. So, if we solved this, why didn't we deploy the solution? Who benefits from making sure we didn't? To answer that, we need to look at what the modern economy actually does to your brain, and why it is not an accident. When you pay with cash, something happens. There's a brief, almost imperceptible, moment of friction. Researchers call it the pain of paying. It is a real psychological signal. It slows you down, just slightly. Controlled studies found that people spend 12 to 18% more on identical items when paying by card versus cash. Not because they're richer. Not because they want more. Because the pain of paying has been removed. That is not a side effect of credit cards. It is a design decision. Now add social media. Some research suggests that households in high inequality areas may carry more debt relative to their income. Not because they earn less, but because proximity to wealth quietly recalibrates your definition of normal. When everyone around you appears to live a certain way, even on a screen, your baseline shifts. Instagram didn't invent keeping up with the Joneses. It algorithmically industrialized it. But here's the most expensive part. A major analysis, 168 studies, decades of data, found that financial education programs explain less than 1% of the difference in people's actual financial behavior. Less than 1%. The United States spends over $60–70 million a year on financial literacy programs. Someone is getting value from that investment. It is not the people who can't save. Think about what that means. An economy built on consumer spending needs consumers who spend. A credit industry charging 22% interest needs customers who carry balances. A personal finance content industry, books, courses, apps, videos, needs an audience that stays stuck long enough to keep buying the next solution. Not through conspiracy, through incentive. The system is not broken. For some people, it is working exactly as designed. And you, every month you feel ashamed of your savings balance, are part of what makes it run. So if the trap was built by design, the exit has to be built too. Not found, not wished for, built. And the most surprising proof of that doesn't come from a university lab, a Wall Street firm, or a Silicon Valley startup. It comes from a market in Kenya, and it changes everything. Here is the thing no savings app will ever tell you. The problem was never motivation. In 2008, in an open-air market in Kenya, researchers handed women something that had no interest rate, no investment strategy, and no financial education attached to it. Just a place, a separate place to put money. That was it. Those women saved 66% more. Not because they learned something new. Not because they wanted it more. Because the structure finally matched the desire that was already there. The desire to save is not American. It is not a product of education or income or cultural values. It is human. What varies? Across countries, across income levels, across centuries, is not the desire. It is whether the environment honors that desire or quietly destroys it. Now consider something closer to home. Researchers studied what happens to the mind under financial stress. Their findings were uncomfortable. The mental burden of scarcity, of having too little, appears to consume cognitive resources, the same resources you need for long-term planning. the same resources you need for impulse control. Financial pressure doesn't just empty your account. Evidence suggests it may narrow the mental bandwidth available to escape it, which means the advice to just focus and be more disciplined is being given to the people who have the least capacity to act on it. Willpower is not the answer to a problem that uses willpower as fuel. So here's what the research, across countries, across income levels, across decades, actually shows. Saving is not a discipline problem. It is not a motivation problem. It is not an information problem. It is an environmental design problem, and environments, unlike character, can be redesigned. The same cognitive architecture that makes saving hard right now, loss aversion, status quo bias, present bias, can be redirected. You don't need to rewire your brain. You need to rewire your environment. The researchers didn't ask anyone to want it more. They just made it easier to keep. Here is what that looks like in your life, starting tonight. The Kenyan market vendors didn't need a better attitude about money. They needed a drawer that wasn't in the same room as their expenses. That's the whole principle. Here's what it looks like in practice. First, automate everything you possibly can. Move money to savings before you ever see it. The same inertia that kept you from saving becomes the force that saves for you. Status quo bias. The brain's powerful preference for whatever is already happening. Works at JAINST savers when the default is spending. Flip the default. Automate the transfer. Once, tonight, you are not relying on future you to make the right decision in a tired moment. You are making it once and letting the system run. Second, engineer friction back into spending. The researchers didn't take anything away from the Kenyan women. They just made the money slightly harder to reach. Delete your saved card details from shopping sites. Add one step, just one. You are not suppressing desire. You are reinstating the pain of paying that the consumer economy worked so hard to remove. Third, name your accounts. Mental accounting research shows that labeled money behaves differently than general funds. Call it surgery fund. Call it freedom. Call it future me. The name creates a psychological cost to spending it, a cost that a savings account labeled account 2 simply does not have. Loss aversion. The force that makes saving feel like losing can work for you. Make spending from that account feel like the loss. Fourth, apply the save more tomorrow principle to your own life. Commit now, before your next raise arrives, to redirect a portion of it, before your lifestyle adjusts, before hedonic adaptation sets your new normal. You will not feel the absence of money you never saw arrive. Every raise is a window. It closes fast. None of this requires a better version of you. It only requires you to build a slightly better environment for the version of you that already exists. You were not failing at a simple thing. You were succeeding at resisting a complicated trap, and you didn't know it. The brain that makes saving hard is the same brain that kept your ancestors alive through conditions no budgeting app was designed for. It is not your enemy. It just needs better defaults. You might be feeling something right now, somewhere between angry at the system and quietly hopeful about what comes next. That's exactly where you need to be. The amount you save tonight is almost irrelevant. The structure is EVRYG, one automated transfer, one named account, one future raise already committed to someone who needs it. Your future self, the stranger your brain has been neglecting. Not because you finally have discipline, because you finally have a slightly better system. Set it tonight. And if this reframed something for you, send it to one person who needed to hear it. Not to fix them. Just so they know it was never their fault.